Hey, Ariel and Mario, I just wanted to show you quickly how this Nearpod, this mummy making Nearpod works. I'll try to keep it short because I know your time is valuable. So it's just a basic Nearpod, but I just wanted to kind of show you, especially the drawing part, what I think it should look like. Okay, so here's the preview. Um, I have the learning targets. Just I'd like to keep it about 3. Okay, so you can go through that with them. The next part is matching. So they have to match. Sometimes it's pictures, sometimes it's written definitions. So they have to match it. My kids have done this before. So I take like a word, and then they have to find a picture or the definition that matches it. Pretty easy. The fourth thing is there's a video on mummy making, how to make a mummy. It's pretty similar to the interactive one, but they just have to watch it. And there's, I think I put 3 questions in here. It's a TED talk, but it's pretty good. It's kind of illustrated more for kids. Um, so they watch that, do that activity. The next thing is okay. So then before they do the interactive one that you've already done, Ariel, I'm telling them to go through. It says as you're going through the mummy making process on the following slide, write down the steps in your notebook. So in your notebook, have them just sort of jot down the steps. And I said you should be writing close to roughly 10 to 14 steps. So pay close attention as you make your mummy. So as they're doing it, they're supposed to be writing them down in their notebook. That way they don't have to try to remember and keep going back and forth, back and forth. They can go back to the slide, but hopefully they write it down the first time. Okay, and the next thing is they're going to click to open the web page. It might ask them to click to enable Adobe Flash. They click it, hit allow, and then it starts right here. So they go through the whole thing. Okay, so I'm not going to go through that. All right, so they go through the mummy making, and then the next one is I want to talk about sequencing transitions. So I say sequence transitions are any words that show how events take place over time. Simple sequence transitions include first, next, lastly. Those are just some basic ones. And I said think of other transitions that show when events took place or take place or whatever. So I put what's called a collaborating board, sequencing transitions. Add any sequencing transitions you could think of to the board. So this is where they add their own, and they could see what other people put. So they kind of like sharing ideas. They could say like, later on, in the end, or in the meantime, at last, eventually. Okay, so those types of words, rather than just first, next, and last. They, want to you can give them a few so they can steal some ideas from you just to make sure they're not just using first, next, and last all the time. So add more sequencing words here, and they can see what other students have put. So once they've done that, now they're ready to do the last part. It says add a text box and summarize the first 3 to 4 steps of making a mummy in a short paragraph. Use sequencing transitions. So they're going to have to write, I'm going to make them do 3 slides, 3 short paragraphs, then draw out one part of those steps with as much information as possible. So what they would do is they hit the little text. See if I can do this here. The text box. Oh, so text. They I would tell them to put it at the top here. Oops. Why isn't it letting me do it? Okay, so they would just sort of. This will think it's in the way. So all they do is they would just go like that. It says enter the text here, and it's kind of weird because when you click on it, you don't see the cursor. Then I click on black, so you'd say something like, okay, you know, first, you must take out the brain. Next, what do they do next? Take out the organs. Is that the next part? You must remove organs. Like eventually, you will drain the liquid out and cover. Oops. And cover with an atron. I don't remember if that's exactly it or not. I didn't write down the steps, but just sort of something like that. So then, okay, so that's the text part, and then you go to the drawing part. So I don't know. They could draw something like, I don't know. They could draw maybe like a hook, and then they can draw like, I don't know. They could just draw like the brain. Gosh, that's bad. Okay. And you can just give them some ideas. You know, they don't have to draw a whole mummy, but they could just draw some symbols that sort of represent. This is a really bad brain, but you kind of get the idea. Okay, they could just do that. Like they could just draw something like that, and then move on to the next slide. Okay, the next slide is add another text and summarize the next 3 to 4 steps. Okay, use sequencing transitions and draw one part of the steps. So same thing as the last one. They add a text box. I would put it at the top. I would show them that first one and then let them do the rest. So write out a text box, write a short paragraph, draw a picture. Same thing on this one. And then the last one is the same. They add one more text box and summarize the final few steps of moment making. Be sure to use sequencing transition and draw any final part of the process. So obviously this isn't going to be a work of art, just something that they're sort of you know synthesizing what they've learned using sequencing transitions and drawing some goofy pictures, and that's it. So hopefully that made sense. And if you guys have any questions or if you have any feedback, if you think I should take something out or whatever, just let me know and I can fix it. Okay, thanks.